on, crack on. Come on, oh, wandering. Start in 5 minutes, don't we? Right, Tiger? Yeah?
Heywood Community High School is in Rochdale in Lancashire, one of Britain's most deprived areas. It's a successful school, largely as a result of developing the skills of the whole school workforce, teachers and support staff.
Student attendance last half term, 92.3%. Exclusions, just 5 days. We're averaging about 1 day every 2 weeks.
Head teacher David Yates addresses staff at the beginning of a new half-term.
It's just really, really good. It's very important to know that what we're actually doing with developing the wider workforce is actually working. Some good examples of that would be student attendance has risen to 92.5%. GCSE results have gone up significantly from 15%, including maths and English, to 39% last year, with 50% expected this year. Overall though, one of the most important features is the staff attendance. This is over 97% at the moment. This shows me I've got a very happy staff. Now I know if I've got a happy staff, the students are going to benefit and the school will continue to progress. 12.20 to the outside measurement, okay.
One of the key issues in this school is we treat all staff with the same respect as each other. There is no segregation between teaching staff and support staff. All our staff are given equal responsibility, but they're also given equal opportunity to develop. They're given equal amount of the budget. We have a CPD allocation, and within that allocation, all staff have the opportunity to dip in and use the same amount basically for their own CPD needs.
There are 31 teachers and 45 members of support staff employed at the school. Jeanette Hakes is a learning supervisor.
Just do exactly what it tells you to do. 14.
We're doing all right? Busy?
Yeah, they're really busy. Yeah, they're doing the My Maths online worksheets.
What's the background that you've had with regards to this? Because I know that in the past you've worked in all subject areas, but now you're predominantly focused in maths, that's right, isn't it?
That's right, yeah. I was a TA which worked with mainly special needs students for a couple of years, and then I progressed to learning supervisor. Previous to that, I'd worked as a TA in the maths department for about a year.
And the training, I think, if I remember right, we've been on the specific maths course.
I've been on a subject specialism course in maths, secondary maths. That led into the HLTA, which I'm now doing at the moment. Well, I've just completed it, actually sent everything off last night. I've just completed it. I get an assessment in about 3 weeks' time. The assessor comes in to assess that I meet all the government standards. There's 33 standards that you have to meet.
The main problem a while ago was that we were segregated almost into teaching staff and non-teaching staff. And straight away that starts on a negative because I'm a non-marathon runner, I'm a non-language speaker, and so it goes on. We changed the name, so it's teaching staff and support staff now, and that was very, very important. The other big problem was that the support staff structure was very flat, so teaching assistants, mentors, etc., headed up by an office manager and a business manager. So we've tried to replicate the teaching staff structure and go for a much more pyramid approach. So there's progression now for everybody entering the profession, both in the teaching staff and the support staff.
You've done one where you changed your border design. Again, I would work into that as well.
Jane Reynolds joined the school as a TA, but is now on the graduate teacher training programme.
I have a degree in fashion and textile design, and I spent 15 years in the industry, but I came into teaching because I wanted to teach art. I learnt about the graduate training programme from the head teacher David Yates and Phil Bell, and it's their support and help that has got me this far.
We're introducing a different subject to them essentially because they've been doing literacy with me.
Jane's guidance comes from Phil Bell, who's the school's professional mentor.
I think that CPD at this school is brilliant. I think that they're really supportive, really helpful, and really move you forward in doing what you want to do.
But if you just want it one level of colour, then colour it all the same depth.
Jane is one of 5 members of support staff who took GCSE maths at the school last year. All of them passed, and another 4 are taking it this year.
OK, we can divide both sides by 100.
I was at school 25 years ago. I didn't have a very good maths teacher,
and I failed my maths. So that's why I've decided to come after school in my own time and study GCSE maths again.
The main thing about these kind of questions is to read the question all the way through and try and work it out and get an idea for what the answer is going to be.
Nick, the maths teacher, is very good and very patient.
Okay, now, we can't go any further than that.
When I first started here, I was just a departmental secretary, and they've actually promoted me to exams officer, and they've sent me on lots of training courses, so it's very good.
I've just finished a degree over 6 years, funded by school, because the support staff are brought up to be equal now to teaching staff. When I first started, it was support staff were quite low down and teaching staff were higher up. But over the years, everybody said, you know, work your way up, and which we have done.
Well, everyone has a performance management interview. When it was introduced for teaching staff just over 12 months ago, we decided to introduce it for the wider workforce. And the benefit of that was we actually find out people's aspirations and hopes, and then we try and make those happen, really. So a good example recently, a member of my kitchen staff had an aspiration to become a teaching assistant at some point in the future. My food technology teacher got a lot of examination classes going on at the moment and needed some additional support. I could marry the two situations quite nicely, and you know, all parties are really happy, and as a result the students are doing better.
I started off in the kitchens as a catering assistant. I had filled in a form expressing an interest to work as a teaching assistant, and I was really very lucky as an opportunity came up in food technology for a teaching assistant, and Mr Yates, the headmaster, offered me a position which I grabbed with both hands. I wouldn't have been able to do this otherwise. 15 fluid ounces of milk in the saucepan. Training will consist of doing a teaching assistant's course at college, which the school will finance or part finance for me. Do you need paprika, miss?
Yeah, please.
I get my guidance from the classroom teacher, it's Miss Harrison, who's the food technology teacher here, and I follow her lead. I'm learning the job really from her. I'm getting the best possible training, really.
So we've talked about steel and the differences it has from iron. We talked about steel being a lot tougher.
The school wants teachers to be able to concentrate on teaching. So the two important roles of Head of Key Stage 3 and Head of Key Stage 4 have been given to members of support staff, both former teaching assistants.
The way that we look at the jobs and the roles inside schools, we were looking at what was causing a lot of stress on teachers' time and actually taking them away from the classroom. And it seemed to be behaviour issues and attendance issues and child protection issues. So there were three of the main things that we took away from the teaching staff and actually assigned to members of support staff with the appropriate training and guidance, and the results have been fantastic.
Back in 2003, the number of exclusions at the school was high, 979 days. But in 2007, it was down to 41 days, the lowest in the local authority, and the figure is still falling.
O-U-S-L-Y.
The creation of an inclusion centre run by support staff has been key to the school's success with both behaviour and attendance problems.
This room is the reintegration room. This is for the students with previous poor attendance, either from last year or starting this year, and they're often behind with a lot of the coursework. So they work with Jane, who's our reintegration mentor, to catch up with the classwork, and then they go back into the mainstream setting. Hiya, you all right?
I've spoken to the mother.
We obviously deal with a number of agencies at the school. They require a prompt response if it's childcare services, if it's the police. And as support staff, not having the teaching timetable, we're able to respond to that quite quickly. Teaching staff wouldn't have that chance. She's probably going to be able to find it in your file.
No, it's not my file, it's on the computer.
I started at the school as a teaching assistant. I really enjoyed being a TA, but I just knew that there was something else that I wanted to do. I was fortunate enough that the leadership team in school saw that in me as well, that I wanted to do more and I was capable of doing more.
I think in this school it's absolutely brilliant compared to other places that I've worked. I've done 5 different jobs really in 5 years. In each of the roles I've done different training. When I changed to Key Stage 3, I was working a lot with parents and different agencies, and so we went on courses and things like that around areas we were working with. You just get on training courses that you need to make posts more successful.
Is everybody happy?
I believe that if people have roles and responsibilities, it's so important that they also have that ability to make decisions. Because the flip side of this would be that if a member of staff had to go to a meeting or meet with a parent and consistently have to come back to me for approval and get further guidance, they would not feel valued at all, and it would be paying lip service to their role.
I've been allowed the opportunity to share my opinion and my views, and those have been listened to. Things that you've seen up in the centre, the reintegration room, the intervention suite, those were ideas that myself and another colleague had together, and we was allowed, to work with the leadership team and develop that and create the centre that we've got now.
Iron's a softer metal, more malleable, more easily squashed.
The wider workforce has increased at all levels of responsibility, which means staff can be more flexible.
Sometimes it happens where there's a large number of staff out of the building at any one time because of the training courses that we have provided for them. But we do have now, because of the support structure in school, extra flexibility for us to allow support staff and teaching staff to go out on external courses. Knowing that we have that flexibility within the support staff to cover lessons or people's responsibilities when they're not in the building.
I feel that schools that don't use the support staff maybe in this creative way are kind of missing a trick, because the support staff now make up over 50% in most secondary schools in the country, and if you're not tapping into that resource and using it to its full potential, then it's not a good thing. In terms of how we've expanded the wider workforce and how people feel supported in general, is shown by the student attitudes. 97% of students feel as though this is a good school to be at, from a recent survey we just carried out with the students. And even more interestingly, 96% of students feel as though there's an adult they can go and talk to if there's an issue. Now obviously we still want to work on that 4%, but we're very pleased to see that figure as high as 96%.
There's always staff around, and there's always somebody you can find to talk to. Everybody's definitely approachable.
It's all right, it doesn't matter which one you use, just use these.
There's hardly any difference between the teachers and support staff, because they all treat you the same and we treat them the same as well.
You need to finish your border design now.
Because support staff cover lessons rather than supply teachers, it's more better for us because we know the staff and we're used to them, we're comfortable with them.
It's got scales and stuff. The CR should have scales.
And the support staff are very nice and they help you a lot, just as the same as the other teachers.
Have you put your milk in your saucepan?
With more staff, then it's easier to control all the children, and lessons are much easier and quieter and get through more work as well.
28:33, great, we're flying, okay? I think schools have changed dramatically and are changing all the time, particularly as we move into extended schools and schools that work with external agencies. And I feel as though people who haven't got a PGCE qualification, they bring a lot of other skills and qualities to the table. And I feel as though every school needs to develop the wider workforce for the benefit of the students.